Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessie Nealand. Today I want to talk about how to deal with the discomfort of a changing body. We all have a human body, right? And human bodies, by definition, are constantly changing, which means that no matter how hard you work to look a certain way or have a certain kind of body, it's going to change. You don't get to keep it. None of us get to keep it. Everything about having a human body is constantly impermanent. That said, we're fed a very different narrative that we should be having like a sort of end point. Like I worked hard to get my body a certain way and then it stays that way forever. Except for you have to fight aging and, really worry about any other changes and stress about things like stretch marks and whatever. So just recognizing it's uncomfortable to have a body that changes. That's okay. That's normal to be uncomfortable. But it's especially uncomfortable when you live in a world, in a culture that villainizes some bodies and celebrates others. So if you know that like beauty ideals for women, for example, involve being very youthful looking, then as you get older, as you get wrinkles, as you get gray hair, as you get, parts of your body are sagging or you're gaining weight or whatever it is, that's going to feel not just uncomfortable because there is the sort of ever changing nature of having a body, which I think is already a bit uncomfortable, but you also realize you're losing social status, you're losing privilege, you're losing things, power in our society. And that's incredibly uncomfortable. You may even be stepping away from that category and towards a category that's marginalized, because the elderly are absolutely marginalized. And as we age, like we're all heading that direction, right? On top of things like weight gain or other changes that we experience throughout our lives. So it's important just to recognize it's normal for it to be uncomfortable. It's a little strange anyway. It's like how your identity is always changing. Are you the same person you were 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Probably not. I'm not, and there's like a lot of catching up and processing work that has to go into that. Who am I now in my 30s? I knew who I was in my 20s. I'm still figuring out who I am in my 30s. There's that ever evolutionizing, it's weird. It's weird and it's cool, but it's okay if that's uncomfortable sometimes. It's a lot to process. The aging process, the changing process, the evolving process. When it comes to your body, though, I would pay attention to whether or not that's what you're experiencing as discomfort, or you're really experiencing the loss of social status and power, or the, sort of moving away from being at the top of a social hierarchy that says your body is good because it looks this way, and now it looks less good, so you're worth less. Because sometimes it's that, very specifically that. And other times it's just like, yeah, I changed and now it's weird. I don't recognize myself in the mirror. It's very weird, to see myself having wrinkles or gray hair. Like it's weird. And that weirdness, that sort of like dissonance between what you think you look like and how you look now can just be uncomfortable. And that's okay. So one of the things you can do about this is to get acquainted with your new body. You can spend time getting to know how you look now if you have changed dramatically in the last couple of years, the last couple of months. Spend time looking at yourself, spend time touching yourself, spend time getting to know your body through movement or sex or pleasure or dance or anything that allows you to get to know your body now. Because it is that cognitive dissonance that feels so uncomfortable for a lot of us. It's the feeling of like, I'm not used to this yet. This is new and new is weird and my brain is freaking out. So just be aware. For a lot of us, the work is to process and get to know who we are now. Get acquainted with our new bodies, whatever that is. And you might have to do this again next year and every year for the rest of your life if your body keeps changing. And that's okay. Spending that time getting to know yourself through all of your senses can only lead to a more positive relationship with your body unless you're being triggered in a really massive way by like looking at yourself, hating your body, whatever that is. In which case, we're definitely probably talking about losing social status and power and body image issues that need, direct intervention and some support. So this is, for most people, going to be a positive thing in a long term to get to know who they are now, how they look now, what their body is up to now, how it feels to move in this new body, how it feels to have pleasure in this new body. All of those things are just about creating positive associations and a sense of like understanding, clarity, and groundedness in the body you have now. So the other thing you can do, I recommend highly, is focusing on feeling good, focus on pleasure, focus on play, focus on cultivating a positive experience of having a body, of being in a body, so that there is now going to be, hopefully, a connection built in your brain between my new body, which is maybe older or bigger or softer or whatever than it used to be, and joy and connection and pleasure and happiness and whatever positive experiences. Because if you used to have positive experiences and a thin body, and then you gained weight and now you're super depressed and disconnected from people, it's going to get linked. This idea that, oh, it's my bigger body is why I'm depressed, or that's what it feels like to be in a bigger body. That's not necessarily true. Learning to find and access pleasure and play and joy and happiness in whatever your new body is can be a really, really healing part of getting used to any changes that happen. Because again, we are all going to be changing constantly. This is a skill all of us need to cultivate. The ability to process changes to our bodies, to how we look, to how we feel, in a way that makes us not feel less than, not feel unworthy, but rather invites more pleasure, more goodness as we age and grow and change and evolve. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you for being here. Go ahead and hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment. I'm glad to have you here, and I'll see you next time.